Florence Pugh. Okay. That is officially the beginning of episode 16 of Not Culture.
Turn the fan down just a bit.
Fanboy.
To 1.
We are summoning you. Oh, hallelujah. Don't stop it! Don't stop it! No, Graham! What have you done? What have you... Why you...
Stop stopping it.
Just press record! Secondary God, PTSD. You know, flashbacks to blackouts.
Oh.
Flash blackout. Wait, I forgot to bring up my opening spiel. No. See, this is what happens, ladies and gentlemen, when you don't remember or when you don't memorize your spiel. Pro tip, always remember your spiel. It's really helpful. So funny. Why does my mic keep going down? Nobody's yelling timber. Stop.
Now it's an Ari Aster film.
Now it's an Ari Aster film. Some sipping some number one tea and honey ASMR for you there. And we're good to go. And in 3, 2. Howdy, folks, and welcome to Not Culture, the podcast about everything but culture. I'm your host, Godfrey McCapticow, joined by my co-host and getting better at editing, Daniel Levi, and our music producer for the show, the Clueless Panda, also known as Graham Ainui Jr. How's it going, Graham and Daniel? What's up? How have your lives been? Yes.
Very busy, but it's good to have a bunch of free time now. I mean, if you're listening to this, our show has finished from the Mosby Theater, so we have like large chunks of our days just free now. So
yeah, it feels weird.
It's really weird.
And your life's been consumed for like about 7-8 months by this. I mean, we did have like 2 months of those with just we had break,
festive break. Yeah.
But now it's just like, oh, okay. We have our weekends again. What do we do now?
I have no idea.
We go to the clubs and socialize. Isn't that what young people do?
Oh, God, no. I tried that once. Almost got robbed, stabbed, stopped by the police. My friends witnessed a hit and run. You know, good times, you know.
Yeah,
I did do some karaoke, though, at Cozy's. And I have footage of that.
Karaoke at Cozy's?
I'm going to put up that footage of me doing karaoke now.
Look for the girl with the broken smile.
Yeah, so it was good. Yeah, but it's a nice place. It's like if you can imagine, what's that place at that bar? Hog's Breath down at town, but smaller. Yeah. But like, you know, cozier. No, because it actually is quite cozy, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it quite a lot. Not just because I was drunk. I also played darts. I got like 1 bullseye.
Yeah, which you're surprisingly good at when you're drinking. It's very consistent with his... Like, whenever Godfrey has any drinks in his system and he decides to play dart, he will hit the bullseye at least once.
Actually, I did. It was really weird. I swear, it was so strange. And that got me like a couple more drinks. So it was great. It was lovely. It was a really nice chill out right after the show. It was on that same weekend, so right after the show finished, I went to sleep. And then I woke up, and then my friend, the amazing Isabel Drummer, hi, love you, just shows up, and she's like, "Godfrey, wake up!" And then I'm like, and then we just end up going to the clubbos.
That's just the way of these things. Like
the clubber
usually goes.
Yes, indeed. But I don't know. That was my last 2 weeks. How about you guys? What did you do? Did you go to any clubs to do the socializing?
Well, no, not really. I can't do clubs anymore. I don't really like crowds, and if I am going out, I'd like to go out with like you guys. But then I haven't really had the urge to go anywhere. Yeah, no, I've just been catching up on sleep. You know, because we're doing the shows every single night and then finishing at 10 and then going back home. So I've just been trying to get back into like my regular sleep schedule, waking up on time. I'm not going to say early because that would be a lie. But
it would be wishful thinking, though.
Yes.
No, but same. Just apart from, you know, all of that stuff, just trying to catch up with some sleep as well.
Yeah.
You, Dan?
No, clubbing. No, I think I club myself out. We've had this discussion like off camera. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
several times. Or I'm pretty sure we've clubbed ourselves out in like 2017, 18.
2017.
Yeah, where we don't feel the urge to go.
Mm.
Like, yeah, no. This is before like Illusions was a thing.
Yeah, it's
Before
not like,
all those
oh
big
yeah,
clubs
there's
were
this.
around.
Hasn't
great event,
Illusions
we
been
should
a thing
go.
for
No,
so
we
long,
can't do
though?
that.
I don't remember because I don't know. But yeah, no. I think personally, no. I haven't been to club. I think I'm getting over alcohol, to be honest. I think I've reached that point where I'm like, I've had enough.
Nice.
I'm good.
Nice. Oh yeah, man.
Yeah.
You know that's why you should probably go sober for a bit. You know that's
Mm.
what I did. But then I came back and it's just like, oh, fun.
Weren't you the one saying that now everyone's doing it because now it's cool?
Yeah, for some reason, all of the people we talked to, they're starting sobriety. I was like, wow. As soon as I come out of it, it's the cool, it's the trendy thing to do now. Apparently, sobriety, which I'm not knocking. It's great. Everyone should go through it at least once in their lives. It's nice. You know all that. I can't say alcohol abstinence, right?
Yeah, no, yeah.
Okay, good.
Abstaining is it's all around. Not
I thought it was just attached to more sex than you know,
No,
anything
no.
else. It was attached to drugs as well. Okay, I'm glad you guys are getting to that point. It's very mature of us now. Yeah. Man, there were so many youngins every time I go there. I went to
That's-
Element. That's it. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Sports bar. All the young people are there. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, Lova's like tapped himself out of alcohol. I don't think I'm quite there yet. I feel like the breaks that we do take in between our, like, I don't know about you, but like personally, because we only have our monthly get together at the end of every month, and that's usually the only time I ever have time to do anything or have the opportunity. So I'm not all the way, you know, I won't drink, but
Yeah, no, I get it. No, it's good to have that release at least once in a while. I think it's healthy. But hey, apart from all the drinking and clubbing, what have you guys been up to? Did you see any cool movies? Which, by the way, that is the topic of this week's episode. We're talking about the movies that we've seen
Yes.
during the break recently, and we're going to highlight a couple of those. But before we dig into those highlights, I just wanted to get through these guys. Anything cool that you've seen that aren't on the list of movies that we're talking about?
well, no, not really.
No, okay, that's fine.
I forget. I really can't put anything in my head right now. But
Wow.
I mean, not that anything that's not on this list. Not really any, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's all right.
It happened to you, that thing that you know, when you have a list of things that you have to memorize and you go up to it and you look at the first thing and you're like, okay, got it. Turn around. Wait, what was that? And then you look back and it's
Oh yeah,
not there.
no, it happens all the time for me. Honestly.
How about yourself?
Oh yeah, myself. I've been actually watching a lot more than I usually do, just because I want to get out of this work rut that I've been in for the past very so long or so. I did watch a couple movies more than are on the list that we're going through, but before we get to those, let's thank our sponsor for the show, us and friendship.
Yes.
The show is brought to you by the powers of friendship. Give it a try. It'll help you. All right, let's get back to the show. Okay, so we're here to talk about 3 movies that we got to watch over the break and quite recently. First one is No Way Home, which we've never actually gotten the chance to properly talk about. I just want to preface this by saying that I think I've talked to death this movie with a lot of
Yeah.
people. So we can go over it, especially because I think someone had to blurt out to all of our audience last week that we'll be talking about No Way Home. God.
Yeah, because we did the whole like trailer reaction and breakdown, so it only seems right that we actually talk about the film. But yeah,
Yeah, but we ended up just talking about it to everyone else but you guys. So sorry about that, but we can talk about that now. Daniel, why don't you start this off, because we're only in this mess because of you.
well, honestly, like just in retrospect, it was everything I thought it would be and more.
Yeah,
Like, we're leading up to the trailers didn't relieve anything. Are we allowed to talk about spoilers? It's been months. You should have already seen it by now. The fact that all 3 Spider-Men were in this, how it wasn't shown in the trailers.
They've already got promos
It was
with
such-
all the 3 Spider-Men in it, and they're releasing it online and everywhere. They've released the first 10 minutes of the entire movie online.
It was just such a well-kept secret.
It was. I mean, it's like one of those secrets that everyone just denies. So would you even call it a secret? Like, we knew it was happening, but no one actually confirmed it.
Like, nothing official was said. Everybody was denying. Andrew Garfield just left, right, and center. Deny.
It's a Photoshop. No, but then it turned out like really weird because he was the best thing about the movie. Like for me, he
He's
really
amazing.
was. He was
amazing.
He's amazing. He is amazing, and he will always be amazing. The Amazing Spider-Man 3, which means completely something else now because of the movie.
Oh man.
Because he's Spidey 3. If I had to spell that out for you, The Amazing Spider-Man 3. Oh boy.
It was just, it was everything I thought it would be. There's great fights in it. There's one of my biggest complaints about the MCU movies was that their fights never felt as impactful or as hard-hitting as the early 2000s fights. Like, I think recently I watched Blade 2, and the boss fight in Blade 2 is very good. And like I'd compare that to Spider-Man 1, the fight with Willem Dafoe in Spider-Man 1.
Oh, that's just like still up there. That's probably the best. That's the, like hand-to-hand martial arts fight.
But
I wouldn't even say it's a martial arts fight. They're just throwing punches and throwing each other. Like it's not really intricate martial arts. It's basic martial arts where it's punching.
But it's not the choreography, it's the way it's filmed and the way the fight's portrayed. And I think this movie has probably the best fight that Tom Holland's ever had as Spider-Man in this movie.
You just call him Tom Holland.
Tom Holland, yeah.
I love it. No, I can agree with you. That building fight scene is still the best. It's still the best. It's shot amazingly, and it's a testament to how much he's grown as Spider-Man. And Willem Dafoe and this 66-year-old man just rocking up to set and like, I want to do my own fight scenes. And everyone's like, shit, okay, just don't break anything. No, I'll break several things. And he did break several things that were outside of his body, so I'm happy for that.
Man.
Yeah. He broke a building, he broke Spider-Man, he broke May.
Looking at May.
Yeah, it was all just a lot of breaking that he did, and we love him for it. Yeah.
I think it was one argument, one of our other mates, Brent, he said that Tom's fighting a real villain. This is someone who's doesn't have an agenda. He doesn't want to get rich. This is someone who I mean, in his mind, wanted to teach him a lesson. And
this is someone who's actually out
fucking
to
crazy.
actually hurt him. God. The other guys were just trying to get him out of the way because Spider-Man was a nuisance. Yeah. This time around, it's someone. I mean, that's what I've always liked about the MCU Spidey movies. They just had interesting villains who had motives that aren't just do bad. Yeah. But then you bring around a villain like Goblin, which is kind of flipping that rule on its head, and it works so good because he's out to just do bad and actually hurt Peter.
And he did hurt Peter. The amount of one criticism that everyone has always said about ever since the first two Tom Holland Spider-Man movies was that he's not sad enough, or he hasn't had that emotional break. Oh, he gets that break in this movie, and it is sad, and it's been very impactful. Just great character development. It's night and day when you watch something like Homecoming and then watching No Way Home.
Actually, I in bringing up Homecoming, I want to bring up that final fight he did have with Vulture because I thought that was still really good. Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's two scenes. The one where he gets crushed by the building and he actually tries to take down Toomes on his own in his OG suit, and then he tries to stop him on the beach. I thought that entire third act was extremely well done. So, I mean, and then compared to something like this, it's almost similar where he's actually having to fight and
Oh yeah, but she was fighting for his life. That first fight in the apartment. Also, we get to see angry Tom Holland Spider-Man, which is something we haven't seen yet, which is always nice to see.
Oh yeah.
There's something about seeing a hero, specifically Spider-Man, angry, that just does something to me. I don't know what it is. He's always been depicted as the best dude, or the kindest superhero. So to see him mad, it always has that emotional impact.
No, because people seem to forget that Spider-Man can break you.
Or just how strong he is.
He's always been holding back. That's the thing. To contrast that, we get Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, who actually has been there. He has been the broken Spider-Man. He's got I'd say, well, not the worst. Now that you put Tom's. What happens to Tom in this movie?
Yeah, but
yeah, he definitely got
very bad. What happens? Yeah.
It's it's not the best.
Well, basically, if you're unaware, he's still dealing with what happened to Gwen in part 2, his second movie, and it really affected him, and he got very bitter. And he says a line where he basically states he stops pulling his punches.
Which is something that we've all. It never had to be stated on screen, but we all know that that's what Spider-Man does. Because if he were to punch something full strength, probably. I mean, we've all seen The Boys, right? Something like that, except more. webs or something, I'd assume. Yeah.
Goodness. And I think, I mean, obviously, it was such a great movie. One of the biggest. I think Godfrey and I went to the first screening of it.
In the country.
It was crazy. It was. There was a lot of screaming. I lost my voice for like 2 days, 3 days.
Yeah.
And probably the biggest like cinema pop or like biggest cheer in the entire movie I've ever heard. Bigger than when everybody came back in Infinity War. It was basically when Toby returned and Toby stepped through the portal. It was
great.
Oh,
it was great.
Man, everybody lost their shit.
I mean, I think I lost my shit a little bit more when Murdoch showed up on screen.
Finally, confirmation that Daredevil is canon in the MCU.
Yep. There can be no other. And I lost my shit a little bit more when Andrew Garfield showed up, just because I'm such a big fan of his movies, even though they're writing a shit, but he's such a good Spider-Man. He is. I will die on this hill. He's a good Spider-Man, and I want him to, come back.
Yep.
Yeah. No, but speaking of all the noise that we made, I think this is a really appropriate time to play that audio recording that I took of us in the cinema live reacting to the entire movie, and that sounds a little something like.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Yes! Wait, it's Andrew! It's Andrew!
Yeah, that was a good day. Yeah, man. And then I think, anything else you want to say before we talk about that ending?
It was very balanced. Like, at no point did I feel that like any of the Peters were overpowered in terms of their writing. The writing felt very great. What they were saying, the banter was amazing.
I think that was the
felt,
priority, especially because when you bring up balance, there is an issue that I want to bring up with the villains. Just a couple of them didn't really got the short end of the stick in this movie. Like a couple of my favorite villains, though. I mean, I've always been a big fan of the Lizard and Sandman, so it was great to have Sandman back, and how he showed up was still so.
That
cool.
was a great scene.
It was so cool. Oh my god! It was like
Peter, it's me. Oh my god, he remembers this is after Spider-Man 3.
He's like, help me stop this guy. And he's like, okay, let's do this. And then he does it, and then he's like, what? Oh, no, I don't trust anyone. I want to go back and see my daughter. I want to go home. I don't care. I don't trust you. Did you kill him? Who are you? Wait, I know you're not my Peter, but who are you?
Yeah, no, that was pretty much it.
It was yeah, that's it. And then you get Lizard, where I just don't think they tried with him. He just like they come back and Doctor Strange had this whole off-screen fight with him and captured him. I mean, in terms of how much damage these guys could do to you, Lizard's pretty terrifying. Because he is basically a dinosaur.
And how strong he is,
dinosaur.
yeah.
Did you see how much he, messed up Peter in, the first Amazing Spider-Man?
Oh, yeah.
My God.
That's how he killed Captain Stacy. That's how dangerous he is.
He's actually quite terrifying. And I'm not really messed up that... I mean, I don't really mind how different he looks. Sure, he's
yeah. There was some design changes.
He did wear that lab coat at some point in the
movie. He looked more lizardy than half human, half lizardy, which is how he kind of looked in
the comics.
I mean, in the Amazing Spider-Man 1,
yeah,
they made his features a bit more lizardy.
They didn't change anything with this one, did they?
No, this one no. They made his face more angular. Yep. And he looked more like a lizard.
Did they?
Yeah.
It was more circular in the Amazing. I think I remember.
Yeah, it looked a bit too human.
Man, I'll always remember that scene where he's fighting him in the school, and then he does the thing where he crawls all over Lizard's body and webs him up.
Yeah.
Does whatever a spider can. Yeah, I swear. So good. Yeah. But sorry, I'm tangenting. Yeah, that's the major issues that I had. Anything else you want to say?
Nothing else, I mean, unless we're going to talk about the ending.
Oh, yeah. Oh. Baldiest ending, the best ending to any Marvel movie I've ever seen. They went there, and they effectively just reset his entire story. Who does that? Who does that and gets away with it?
And the emotional impact of it, it was...
It was...
That final scene, I'll promise I'll come back and find you. Finds them and decides, nah, they're better off without me. And just...
He sees the bandage, and he says, oh, no, I caused this. No, I can't bring them into this again. And then... It's just...
But just him being mature enough to make that decision, they can't be involved, and I can't get anyone else wrapped up in my stuff.
And that's it. You know, it's what it's what our good friend Leanne says. Growth.
Also, the he doesn't say anything in the final scene. It's just a lovely montage of where his life is at.
Yeah.
And then he makes his own new suit, not in a fabrication machine, with a sewing machine.
That blue, that shiny blue, it's beautiful.
The bright colors, and you can tell that he was obviously inspired by the other Peters, and
That's it, man. It's you could almost hear every like comic book Spider-Man fan in the entire world simultaneously just scream and lose their shit. But I agree with all of them. I'm kind of sad that he had to lose all of his, everything to get to this point.
No
but he
May,
did.
no friends, nobody. Oh gosh, the
Not
scene,
even
the
Happy,
scene with
like,
the
not
scene with
even
Happy
Happy,
at the cemetery.
That was tragic.
How did you know her? I knew her through Spider-Man.
Helped a lot of people.
Gosh, but I'm excited to see where they'll go from here, because in the comics there was a big tonal shift after he left high school. Where, you know, how it felt like in Homecoming, where everything was more fun and happy. And then I think this movie has set the pace for this tonal shift, where his college years are going to be more brutal or more serious.
Yeah.
And it won't be as fun and happy joy as it was
Yep.
in the previous films. So
Oh yeah.
yeah,
No, definitely. I think he's like, and I really do mean this as a character and the actor Holland himself. I really think this Spider-Man has earned that, and we've gone through this journey. I mean, you can obviously tell that from the get-go, and from, I guess, this third installment, that this wasn't the plan from the beginning. They had to change a lot of things. I mean, if they did, there'd be a lot more signs. They would have given May a lot more to actually do. But with this, it's, you can definitely tell that what's gonna come after, hopefully, is gonna be different. And like I said, he's earned that, and I can't wait to see what comes next. And I guess if we want to go from here, what do you guys hope to see in any of the new Spider-Man installments? I mean, it has been confirmed that there's going to be a new trilogy.
Yes.
His college years, which
Ooh.
what is it? Feige said so. So yeah.
Man. I would like to see Felicia Harding, because I feel like her involvement in the story, in the comics, she was only in love with Spider-Man. Like, she had a thing for Spider-Man. She wasn't necessarily
Did she know
interested.
who Peter is?
Partly she didn't really, I mean, from what I understand, she didn't really
care.
She was just, she liked Spider-Man for Spider-Man. So it feels like a good, like, carrying on from what happened in the most recent movie.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that would be perfect. I've always wanted to see Black Cat, like, on the screen in anything. I think in Raimi's Spider-Man, in the fourth one that they were going to do, they tapped Anne Hathaway to play her.
Young at that time. Younger Anne Hathaway. Oh, man.
I mean, she did play Catwoman. And I still loved her iteration of Catwoman. And man, that would have been interesting to see. But now, with this story and how it's been written before, and what they can do with it now, it'd be so interesting to see a character like that. You know, just like really interested in Spider-Man and nothing else. Like, you know, that'd be so cool.
Like, I think there were times in the comics where he tried to, you know, unmask in front of her, and she was like, no, don't. Like, she just didn't want him to. She only wanted him as Spider-Man.
Ew, no,
Yeah.
we don't do that here. No. Rawr, and sorry. I mean, no, that'd be an interesting, you know, route to take. I think, you know, it'd be so cool if we can bring other people like Gwen, even though she's supposed to be the high school version. They swapped it around, obviously, for this one. And obviously, Harry. I want to see where the Osborns are in this universe, man. It'll be really interesting. And if they're going to be actual villains here.
Because you know how Goblin was saying that there is no Oscorp?
Yeah. Oscorp doesn't
Yeah.
exist here. Someone's living in my house.
home and my son. But that might change after Multiverse of Madness.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
There's a lot of
don't know what
slate
will
resetting
happen.
that's
Gosh.
happening right now in this phase.
We
of the
heard
MCU.
freaking Professor X's voice in the trailer, so... And it was Patrick Stewart, so...
I swear to
what
God.
is going on?
Sorry, just to jump on a tangent, that's the Illuminati, right? We're
Yeah,
all
it
agreed?
has to
Yeah?
be. It has
Yeah.
to be. Reed Richards should be on that table
Oh yeah, just sorry.
Gosh.
For anyone who doesn't know who the Illuminati are, they're okay.
in Marvel.
It's they're like a group of people in the Marvel Cinematic Universe in the comic books. Okay, so relax. The Illuminati are basically like the smartest people in the world, like a small group of the smartest people. They've got so in the comics it's usually Black Bolt, leader of the Inhumans, T'Challa. We've got Reed Richards. We've got Tony Stark and Xavier. That's usually it, right? Who else? Like there've been a couple of editions,
Yeah.
or whatever, but that's usually it, give or take.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah,
Right. Core group.
yeah. But they're the ones who've been like, they're running and helping. Like, what do they do exactly? I only know the team. I don't really know what they do.
I don't know. Maybe
They're just smart people.
Yeah, they just try to orchestrate things or help try to steer things in
In
in what they believe is the right direction.
They're the council.
Yeah,
the Council of the Five.
pretty much.
But yes, we're
Yeah.
tangenting. Where were we again? Stuart, and yeah, that could change. because it
Yeah, a
was
lot
my
of things
son.
might change.
Yeah. Which comes out in, I mean, it's April now, basically. So
A month's time? When is it coming out?
the 6th of May.
Okay, all right, awesome.
Which one of you was telling me about? Oh, sorry, we're just jumping back to Spider-Man real quick. Which one of you was telling me about how what's the best friend's name? I forget.
Ned.
Yes, how he becomes
Ned Leeds.
bad guy.
I mean, that's a theory. Dan, what do you think? I mean, he is a sorcerer now,
Nah,
technically.
I mean, I'd like for him to reappear as a sorcerer, but coming back as a bad guy,
I forget who was telling me about it. But then when the whole thing happened in the movie, like just watching it and seeing how they no longer know who he is, so that one of theirs is not there. That
I mean, it could happen. We don't know what's
it could,
going to happen.
it could happen. We don't know what's going to happen.
There was one theory I heard of they could reintroduce Mary Jane, but she's, like grown up and coming to her own, like really coming to herself, and like she's now more like the Mary Jane in the comics, where she's more confident and she's an actress and she's,
I mean,
and that was one theory.
okay, in the
but,
comics, yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
I just thought of Kristen Dunst's character, and as much as I love her, she was useless in those first 3 movies. Oh no, I got kidnapped again. Oh no. Spider-Man! Sorry. Okay, but no, that'll be interesting, give those 2 characters especially just a break.
Yeah.
We've gotten this clean slate, let's use it to the best we can, and then they can show up in like the 3rd set of trilogy movies.
Goodness.
That's when he's like, Spider-Man 2 era,
Mm-hmm.
where he's just living his life now and is actually depressed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And life hits him hard, not just, spells and goblins, and, life actually happens.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, I have to pay rent, and my boss doesn't let me get promotions.
What if he ends up working at the Daily Bugle? Oh gosh.
That would, I think that's gonna happen.
Man.
I mean, he has to make money somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly.
Oh, but he hasn't shown much like interest in photography. Andrew Garfield.
Yes, Andrew Garfield
loved photography and
from the get-go.
Yeah.
And Peters did, yeah, from the get-go as well.
with
Yeah.
Tom, I don't think so, but I'd like to see
I
it
mean, they
happen,
could put an interesting spin on it. What if
Yeah.
it's like not photography anymore? What if it's like something else to do with journalism? But any final thoughts on Spider-Man No Way Home?
Personally, it is now my favorite MCU movie, hands down.
Yeah.
Like, I had favorites before, but now this one, not just because of, everybody coming back, but
Yeah.
it properly addresses what the fans wanted in terms of growth. And it just shows what they had planned for him from the
Yeah.
get-go.
I think that's a good way to put it. This movie is literally a definition of fan service, but it's done right.
Mm-hmm.
Like as a standalone film, now that I look at it, now that I've seen the Blu-ray version, I've had time to process it. There are things that I do have a few issues with. Obviously, I brought up my villain problem. Some of the writing, some of the choices that they make just seemed second to the priority, which was the 3 Spider-Men and getting their banter and their tone and their balance together. And that was it. But I can't really say this with another film. This was my absolute favorite theater experience.
Oh, yeah.
It was absolutely like that has solidified this film as one of my favorites.
I agree with Love. I mean, I had very high hopes for it, and it exceeded everything I could have ever thought. Like, yes, it did give us, the fans, everything that we could ever want, and I love them so much for doing that. But I also just, it is my favorite movie now. I can't, like, I really hope that Multiverse of Madness does something as good at least, but I don't think it will do better. I mean, I'm hoping. I am hopeful.
That's the scare,
It
isn't
has
it?
a lot to address.
That's it. No, yeah,
Multiverse
it
of
has a lot to
Madness.
deal with. Sort of as a sequel This is basically the sequel to No Way Home. Like if you think about it, it's got Doctor Strange in it, and it's sort of continuing his story, but it's a movie basically addressing the events of this movie and of the WandaVision show. So
I'm waiting for them to address Loki.
I don't think anyone knows that it's happened
Yeah.
yet. That's the thing. Obviously, he's gonna make an appearance.
Yeah, I was just thinking, could all of these things have happened at the same time?
I mean, in Loki, it's basically happening outside of
Always,
time.
yeah, outside, yeah.
So it's gonna be interesting. But to see how that affects this is gonna be a little bit more interesting. But I have the same worries as you. It's like, how do they top No Way Home? Like they can't do the thing where they bring in a character from a previous Marvel franchise because it's already done. You can't do that anymore and make it new unless it's all of them. And even
Yeah.
then, it doesn't carry the same weight that this one does. It won't ever have that same impact. I mean, I'm gonna be there, like literally, like day one. Probably gonna do the thing where I go to Paradise Cinemas, and buy a ticket a week before the movie actually starts showing, just so I can get my ticket and everything, and show up there an hour early and sit and watch countless, like deconstructed essays about the stories of this Marvel universe, just to see what to expect. But then, like, it's never gonna have that same impact that No Way Home did. I don't think, in my head, it's never gonna be that same theater experience. I mean, No Way Home, like, I go back to this and I will die on this hill, but No Way Home is the best theater experience I've ever had. It was so much fun, and I like don't think that anything anytime soon will probably reach that or even be better than that, because I just doubt that will happen. Yeah. What's a little rant there?
I mean,
Sorry.
we'll see.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess that was our thoughts on No Way Home. And that was 40 minutes of the entire show. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to talk about Battinson. Okay, yes, next up, the next film we're going to talk about is DC's The Batman. With Robert Pattinson as Batman. I mean, he shows up as Bruce Wayne a couple times, but he's Batman.
He's Batman.
And Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman. And Paul Dano as Riddler.
Ugh.
And the unrecognizable
Colin Farrell.
Colin Farrell as the Penguin. And all of these people did such amazing performances.
God, I can't listen to this.
Oh! He hasn't seen it! We can't talk about it!
No. Feel free to talk about it. I'm just not going to be part of this conversation. Sorry, guys. I'm just going to tap out real quick and just play Ori, and they're going to do this.
But yes, initial thoughts. Broad overview. What do you think?
Oh man, it is a beautiful film. Some of the shots are great.
I think, yeah,
Oh,
it is
man.
it is the best looking DC film to date. I really can't bring up anything. Like, obviously, there's the natural comparison to the Nolan movies is going to come up, like, organically in this conversation, but in terms of cinematography, this one just wins. It looks like an art house movie, like, I swear to God. It's also as long as one, but we can talk about that later. But yeah, what about the cinematography did you like?
Well, there were just so many creative shots, like coming from, I guess, a culture of like us watching so many MCU movies, and them not having the most creative shots in any of the movies most of the time. Watching something like this was just very refreshing. That's what a lot of people have said, where the whole thing was just very refreshing to see, and it was just great. There were so many good shots. Like, there were shots where the camera was fixed in place for certain action sequences, and it gave such a amazing perspective. Like, there's a chase scene, the chase sequence in the movie that's in the trailer, where I think the camera was on the Penguin's vehicle, and it gets bumped, and they don't cut. The entire car flips and rolls, and the camera is fixed and just captures that whole thing.
Oh, it was so good. Like, honestly, that was one of the best. That was one of the best scenes. That sequence. It was one of the best sequences in the entire film. I swear to God. I just have an issue with that, but I don't know. Do you want to bring up spoilers for it? I mean, I don't think so.
Maybe light spoilers, nothing too heavy, but we can talk in general terms, I guess.
No, it's just okay. The reason they did that entire chase scene, and when they actually got to Penguin after to find out what they found out, it was just, it made all of it like redundant, and it was a kind of. it's at that point where I like half checked out of the movie, and like I want to agree with everything you said about the cinematography. There's just like fantastic shots in this. They're beautiful, and I do mean beautiful, artful shots that are really just put into this, and they accentuate Batman as a character and as this force that should be that you should be terrified of, and it like in a way that melds the narrative and the cinematography. It shows how people see Batman. In this movie, he is vengeance. He's not the Dark Knight yet.
Yeah.
He's vengeance. He's angry and he wants to hurt people. Basically, that's what this movie is, and that is accentuated by this, and basically all the brutal fight scenes. They're really good fight scenes.
God, the other word I'd describe this as just raw, like just how fresh he is as Batman, how angry he is. He's an angry young man with money who's decided to fight crime, and it feels that way. Like one of the biggest surprising things for me in the movie is that after every night, after his patrols on Gotham City, he comes back home and writes down his thoughts of the events of the night and how he is as Batman and how he thinks the mission is going. And each of these journals is called like Project Gotham, and it's like, it's just,
oh my god! Isn't there like in the movie like he wears those contacts that basically records everything he sees during his run.
Oh, right.
And then he sits back and with that journal and he goes through, like, scrubs through everything and takes note of everything. I thought that was very, very Batman. Very
meticulous.
Very detective.
Yes.
Which leads me to the point that this movie, it's not an action movie. It's basically a detective story with action sequences. The first time you meet him, I mean, the first 10, 20 minutes of the movie is basically him trying to solve a murder. That's it. And that's all, like, he goes back to his cave and he's trying to solve a riddle from the Riddler. We'll get to him in a moment, but, but yeah, like I said, this is basically like, if you've seen, Seven, or let's say most of Fincher's, like noir crime thriller work, Seven, Zodiac. This is basically that, but with a guy dressed as a bat who knows how to fight and has cool gadgets.
I think that's one aspect a lot of people have. Some people in the comic book community have always wanted, where Batman stories are supposed to have a sense of like terror, not terror, but they're supposed to be scary. They're supposed to be creepy. There's something, he's always supposed to be dealing with something that's just not right. And I think that this movie definitely addresses that with how, like, the tone and how everything is. The Gotham City in this is probably my favorite Gotham City ever. That's another thing I've heard a lot of people saying, whereas in the Nolan movies, Gotham City was basically just Chicago spliced in with a bit of New York, and it felt very real. But I'd argue it felt a bit too real. In this one, it had that good balance of, like, Gothic city architecture, and it just felt like Gotham City. It was like an in-between. I'd describe it as an in-between of Tim Burton's Gotham City and how realistic Nolan handled his Gotham City. And the other thing I'd like to talk about is the set design. Key moments,
so good.
Key points in the story, in like key locations, they all look very different and very iconic in their own right. Like just the.
Ooh, I want to say, oh my god, Wayne Manor looks like a damn cathedral, and I mean that's not actually Wayne Manor, is
that's
it?
Like
that's
a Wayne
his townhouse or
penthouse.
something.
Yeah.
It was, and just building off what you said. Every location does have a sense of personality to it. It's like they actually, spent the time in creating actual locations for him to visit. And I know, like, for some reason, some people on the internet, they have this issue with him going back to these locations a couple times. But, I mean, it makes sense for a story like this. You go back and backtrack steps. In a detective story, it makes sense to go back to these places to see what you missed. And I like that. And it just rides out the back of the your point of being that the city feels distinct, alive. Gotham feels different in this, and I loved it. It feels dark. It feels scary. There's a lot about this movie actually does have a sense of terror and scary. I mean, at one point, I'm pretty sure it turned into like a scene from Saw, right?
Yeah.
And that it really does a good job of making itself distinct. Like it pulls on that true terror and horror vibe of Batman that not really anything like in a film medium has
yeah.
tackled. Something like Gotham on CW has tried to do something like that, but because
Yeah.
of it being a TV show, it could only go so far. But this, like, you can tell that I wouldn't go so hard as to say that it should have been given an R rating, because the stuff that it gets by, you can tell that. I mean, and maybe at some scenes, at some points, they could have shown a bit of blood or gore or something, but I don't think it needed to. As it
Yeah.
is, this is a PG-13 film. Like, we need to remember that. It's just that sometimes, when you're watching it, you forget that this is a PG-13 movie, because it borders that line so closely that you forget that this is not a hard R rating movie. And it could have been, but I'm just saying, nothing much would have changed. You get it? And I think that lends itself to one of those stories where, obviously, it's a mature, more grounded, and I know that all these words are getting thrown around mercilessly these days. It's a mature, grounded, gritty take on this guy, but like a lot of it reminded me of the Daredevil show from Marvel, and how it addressed how it does so much with what it's been given, and how it has a different vibe and a tone, because something like Daredevil, it did have an M rating, I'm pretty sure, because some guy's head did get slammed like clean off with a car door by Wilson Fisk, who's been completely fucking neutered thanks to Hawkeye. Sorry, but that was going in a MCU tangent. But just that this had a lot to work with in terms of tone that no real other iteration had done before. Like the Nolan movies, like what like you could probably say that they were, I don't know, what, psychological thrillers? Action movies? They're definitely
At
action
times,
movies.
yeah.
But with this one, it's pure. This one is pure psychological. No, it's not really it's just it's mystery detective horror. Not. I wouldn't even call it horror. Thriller.
Yeah.
Is it thriller?
It's just.
I think it's too slow to be a
Yeah.
thriller. And now, do you think it's a good time to talk about the pacing?
Yeah.
Like, I'll let you go first.
It's like I don't think it's too long, but there are pacing issues. It's one of those things where if it's done well, you don't notice it, and it wasn't necessarily done well, and we did notice it.
That's it. I'd say the first half of the movie, so good. I was so devoted to what was happening on screen, but then there are points in the movie where the plot kind of veers off into different directions, and then Batman follows those. I mean, like in a detective story, it feels like that is what should have been done. Like in a detective story or a crime thriller, you follow leads, you end up at dead ends sometimes, and that's basically what happens in this movie sometimes. But the problem is when translating that to like a screenplay or in an edit like this, is that there's a momentum that follows with that like investigation, and when the character hits a dead end, so does the plot and the pacing and everything else. So doubling back to go and try and fix that, it feels like a little bit of a slog. And from the moment that you hit a dead end to having to do all the work of getting back, that's the thing that I like noticed with this movie, is it starts off so well and then it goes in different directions that all don't really lead anywhere. He hit dead ends and then has to come back and then follow another direction. But like I said, good detective story, just not really translated well. And for that reason, it kind of messed with the pacing, because like it started off really well and then it kind of loses itself along the way, and then
it ends pretty well too.
in like the third and I want to say and fourth act.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot that happens in the end that's sort of halved. Like you get all the stuff where before he gets the Riddler, and then after, and then all that ensues. That final. I want to call it the fourth act just because how nicely it was split. Yeah, but I don't know. Are there any? Do you want to zero in on any of the pacing issues that you had?
Not necessarily. I mean, I feel like we've already addressed most of the pacing issues. There was, the thing is, I don't want to take away from Andy Serkis's performance as Alfred. I enjoyed.
He was fantastic.
Yeah,
he was great.
He was great as Alfred. The father-son dynamic between him and Bruce was done very nicely. But there was, it's mostly, I feel like it's in his sections where specifically the section where he gets involved in an incident, and I feel like that it's a good emotional moment, but in terms of how it helps the story flow, it does feel like a speed bump.
It does.
Yeah.
It came out of. It does because it came out. It almost comes out of nowhere, and it's barely attached to the plot. I mean, it is, but then, like when it happens, there's this ensuing thing that is followed right after it, where he continues along with that, following that thread. Then, like I said, the issue is it's like it doesn't really go anywhere, and he has to come back and get back on track. Because there's like a good chunk in this movie where I just did not know what was happening. And either I can't remember it, or maybe I was just really tired when I went to see this movie. But then, after that, in my head, and trying to remember and piece together what like happened, there's just something, parents, something, Falcone, Catwoman in club, and then it's the third act. And then there's just a chunk there, and that's why I think we should go probably see this again.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like I said, it's just an example of the pacing issues that this movie has. I if you're gonna go see this movie again, make sure you get a lot of rest.
Yeah, no, it's very easy to find yourself falling asleep, but that doesn't take away from the experience as a whole. As a whole, it's a very good Batman movie. I felt very conflicted because I didn't know where to place it in my listing in terms of like where I'd put it in my top Batman movies, but I felt as though, to me, it was better than Batman Begins, because to me it does a better job of showing an inexperienced Batman, an inexperienced Bruce, and how practical all his gear and his Batman things are. Like the freaking... he doesn't have wings that just fly from the cape. There's like a whole set of buttons and clips that he has to activate on the suit to activate the wingsuit to glide down, and it's not a clean landing. And when he gets to the top of the building, he's...
landing!
Before he jumps, when he gets to the top of the building, he's scared, like, oh shit, I'm this high up, fuck. It's just, to me, it did a much better job of showing an early Bruce, early Batman.
Can you explain something to me, though? I have just a question. This is after he comes back from the League of Shadows, right? If
Yes,
that portion
if that
exists,
is canon in this universe.
do you think it exists? Based on his fighting style?
It might
Because
be.
you can explain the technology as in he got it from his parents, and this is year 2, so he's been doing this for 2 years.
Yeah, obviously,
no,
yeah.
He's been doing this for 1 year. Sorry.
No, 2 years. It's his second year as Batman. He states that in his journal.
As in, so he's been doing this for 1 year.
Just yeah. Just
Like that's what I'm
about,
trying.
I'd say, yeah.
Graham, what are you doing? Are you trying to smoke? You can speak. You're still attached to the mic.
Oh yeah.
Okay, go. It's fine.
I'd say yes, because obviously, I mean, he has to have had his training to become Batman. I don't know if it's canon. Maybe it is. Maybe they'll address that he trained with special people. But
Yeah.
like him training with the League of Shadows, I think only became a thing because of the Nolan movies. But obviously, there was a period of time when Bruce left Gotham to train, and then he came back. So I think that's happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think Raish is someone that you'd want to see in this?
Not necessarily. I feel like we should give Race a break. Like he had.
He's only literally shown up in one series. Of all the Batman movies, he's only been in one of them.
Yeah, but I think like for the sake of like being compared to the other ones, I think he's one character we can not have to touch again.
Yeah, okay.
I'd like to see, like a lot of people are saying they'd like to see the Court of Owls, which is another good
Oh!
Court of Owls and a proper adventure in Arkham.
Can you tell me, what exactly is the Court of Owls?
They're basically a bunch of aristocrats that have run Gotham this entire time and have had a hand in all the important decisions of Gotham and have led up to like how and why it is the way it is now.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, they're a new thing that recently in the comics they've been established, but it's a very good story.
Yeah.
There is a character named Talon who's basically like the enforcer who Batman has his run-ins with, who's like another skilled fighter who he has to come across and.
Jeez, who
has to
trained
fight.
them?
I don't know.
Are they another
That's the
secret
thing.
shadowy organization that knows martial arts?
Yes. So,
you never
yeah.
get tired of those in movies or
Gosh.
comic books. You never do. Those are great.
But yeah, no, a lot of people want the movie to go. I want this Batman to go in that direction. Like,
And then
I
you
don't know.
mentioned that he. Wait, sorry. Can finish that point.
But yeah, there's a lot. Yeah, no, that's
Yeah?
all I had.
And then
to say
you
on
mentioned that he also should go the Arkham route. What do you mean by that?
The Arkham route is basically he should have an adventure that takes place in Arkham Asylum. I mean,
yes.
we've all seen how, especially that first Arkham game. A lot of people want the next Pattinson movie to be that, especially with how now he is tied to the Arkham Asylum now.
Don't spoil it.
let's just say Batman has a connection to it, which wasn't necessarily established in the comics before. But I'm not angry with that. It's kind of a nice way to tie him into how and why he uses Arkham. So yeah, it's a nice I'm okay with that.
I think
As far as retconning family dynasties goes, I'm not angry about that. I'm okay with that.
no, I thought that was. I don't really want to bring up the twist, but his sudden relationship with the Arkham family and the Arkham name now. I thought that was. I mean, it's welcome. It's a new direction, and I think that's something that could lead him nicely into that name and that family and what all of it entails. So, I don't know if we're ever gonna get something like Arkham Asylum on the screen. I'm glad it's like this with this Batman. And it's going to be super interesting to see how he has to either fight his way out of that with his bat prowess or if investigate his way out of it with his bat detective work, Because that'd be so interesting. Like, while we're on the topic of the Arkham games, in Arkham Asylum, and especially in Arkham City, like all of them, I guess, they put special emphasis on the fact that he is a detective and he is smart and he is a scientist. So I thought that was a really fresh take on Batman. And because this movie follows in that direction, sort of, it'd be cool if they picked it up and did something interesting with it in this universe. Yeah.
Also related to the Arkham games, in a way, detective vision is a thing in this movie, and it's the most high-tech thing he has in this movie. Where it's not necessarily a different vision, but everything he sees, like he's wearing contacts throughout the entire movie, and everything he sees is recorded footage, and then he spools through this footage after every night, and it just seems so practical. Like,
Oh yeah, no,
So like any details that he misses.
yeah, and he watches it back.
You're not supposed to be listening. What are you?
Oh, the switch died. Sorry.
Right, plug it in.
That's what she said.
Go sit there and put it on the screen and play.
But yeah, it was just a nice way to see detective vision. Like we had a bit of it
something
in
like
in the Dark Knight, in the Dark Knight,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
second Nolan movie, where he had like sonar vision, but how it's used for detective work in this movie and in this form, it felt very nice to watch, and
Yeah,
it felt like Batman would have something like this.
Yeah, absolutely. It felt very detective and it felt appropriate. And I also want to touch on that, like bringing up that just reminded me of that scene where he's helping Catwoman. And it also, remember in the club where she's wearing the... No, sorry, spoilers. But like, that was really cool.
I love
and
that
I just
scene
want to
so
bring up,
much.
I just want to bring up, without actually talking about anything specific, I just want to bring up the casting. Specifically Catwoman, Penguin, and who else? Oh, and then we can talk about Riddler. Catwoman, yes, that's all I can say. She does a great job. She fights like she's been living off of the street her whole life. And she just, I thought she was a very welcome
Yeah, no.
variation, I guess.
I remember when I first
HDMI 3.
when I first heard that she was going to be cast as Catwoman, when I heard that
yes.
Zoe, I knew, because just looking at her face, she looks like a Jim Lee drawing. If you're listening to this now, look up Jim Lee Catwoman. Zoe looks exactly like that.
I swear,
like,
right.
no kidding. The facial structure, just, it was perfect. To me, it was perfect casting.
And I'm always going to be happy for a brown Catwoman.
I mean, hey, we've done it before. Eartha Kitt, so yeah.
Eartha Kitt, we've
Yeah.
done Halle Berry, but then this one is like, although no one really talks about Halle Berry that much, Oh, look at that, so beautiful. Isn't it beautiful?
It is. But yeah, no, the casting was amazing. Freaking, I had my reservations with Black Jim Gordon, but I love the actor.
Oh, he's
I-
great,
But I love
Jeffrey.
the actor, so I was like,
Yeah.
But he does a great job. There's a good in the movie. There's a good back and forth buddy cop vibe
Yep.
that we get from him and like Jim, and they actually work together. Like they work
Yes.
together more so than they did in the Nolan movies. It felt like a proper
my
working relationship.
Yeah, in the Nolan movies, they always seem like a sort of booty call,
Like I need you now
It's like,
for this thing.
Hey,
yeah.
you up? I need to talk about
Yeah,
some
yeah.
issues. Yeah, it felt like that. But this one is just like whenever they need each other, they go to that and they summon each other to talk to, and they try to work this case. And like the coolest scene that illustrates that was when he was at the police precinct.
Oh. If you don't know, this is when the police do not fucking trust Batman.
They
It's
do
his
not.
early
They all
years.
hate Batman.
No, everybody knows he's
Remember,
a
he's
goddamn...
only been doing this for a year.
He's a vigilante.
Yeah.
We shouldn't be allowing the civilian to be helping with these cases. Nobody likes him.
I almost want to see, what made Gordon trust him. I want to see the events that led up to their friendship. Yeah, but then that scene just, oh my god, brilliant. And then with Gordon, I thought he was a great addition to this cast. I love the actor who plays him, and he, like you said, basically they've got really good rapport between each other. And I thought, do you think this is where on your ranking of Gordons do you think this one is?
I love Gary Oldman,
He was great though,
but I think in terms of how he serves the story and how he's working with Batman in terms of the quality of Jim Gordon-ness, I'd say he's better than Gary Oldman.
do you think you got more screen time in this movie compared to, let's say, Batman Begins?
Yeah. Oh. I don't know. I'd have to watch Batman Begins again, but in terms of how he's used and how he interacts with Batman, I think I think I'd prefer him over Gary Oldman. As much as I love Gary Oldman, I loved him so much throughout the entire Nolan trilogy.
Yeah.
But like I said, the working relationship between his Gordon and this Batman is just very good. I loved it.
Man, poor J.K. Simmons.
That,
Just getting the SM deal.
I have my issues with how Batfleck was treated and how that whole Joe Manganiello death. I will get into that on a later date. But this is the new Batman, and I like this Jim Gordon very much.
Yeah, he was great. You want to talk about Penguin?
Penguin, who are you? Cumberbatch.
Sorry, yes. Hey, sorry for anyone who's listening. I do actually have a cold today while we're recording this, but like a big boy, I thought, let's fight through this and get this episode out for the loving fans. So y'all better feel my appreciation and appreciate me back.
If you notice any abrupt
I love
cuts, Godfrey was sneezing.
No, I wasn't. I don't sneeze, Daniel. Men don't sneeze. What the fuck is wrong with you? But yes, Penguin was great.
Oh man!
What is it? The guy who was playing Falcone didn't even know that was Colin Farrell. Like, I thought it was just some.
Oh really?
Rando. Yeah. You see that article?
I have
swear
not
to
seen
God.
it. Oh my gosh! It's Colin Farrell.
It's Colin
Who was
Farrell.
it? We told Brent, our friend Brent, afterwards, and he was like, "What?
What? That's not Colin Farrell. Doesn't even look like him. Yeah.
Gosh,
Prosthetics,
he's
costume.
one of those actors where he's such a good actor where if you just conceal his appearance, he'll just disappear into the role and you won't even recognize him as the actor.
Absolutely.
It's just he did such a great job.
Even though he doesn't have much of a role here, you can tell that he's very much at that henchman level. Even though he's, like, let's say top henchman, he still has people he's answering to. That's the thing.
But yeah, no, Colin Farrell did such an amazing job. The makeup work was very good. Unrecognizable. I didn't recognize him. I didn't even recognize the voice. Like usually I can hear Colin Farrell, but this one I just couldn't. It was done so well. His performance as what I'd honestly compare this movie to is the game Arkham Origins, where we're given these iconic characters, but they're not in the place or they're not in the positions that they are in the usual Batman mythos. Like you said with Penguin, he's not like this big boss at this point in the story. He's still very much an underling of a bigger boss.
That's right. I remember his mission in that. That was the only one that took place on right over Christmas, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I remember that mission.
In fact, yeah, now that I think about it, there's a lot of similarities to the Arkham Origin game, where the practicality of Bruce's suit, where it very much just looked like armor with the Batman symbol on it.
Basically, yeah.
And it was just, But
Well,
yeah, no.
The symbol could come out.
Yeah. It was a knife.
It was his only Batarang. He only had one.
only had
that was the
one.
one he used.
But yeah, no, I love Colin Farrell as the Penguin. I didn't see it at first, but yeah. I had
don't
faith.
think anyone saw
I
it
had
at first.
faith. When I heard him being cast, I was, I know he's going to do a good job.
Absolutely. And unrecognizably good job. And then we have this possibly my favorite Batman villain thus far, not counting Joker, because that's just, already another league. But the introduction to Riddler is actually chilling, is actually scary. And when he starts, doing the thing where he kills people, you actually get scared. I got scared. Jesus. Like, it really feels at this point, because there's a scene in the movie where he's basically stalking someone. Not really stalking someone, but is in the same room as someone. And then he starts,
yeah.
His introduction, right? And then, as soon as that happens and he starts fucking swinging with whatever he's carrying, it really feels like a deranged madman going to town.
And then I think you mentioned this after we watched the movie. You can tell that this is the first time he's done this. It's
Yeah.
not a clean kill.
Like it almost reminds me of he's one of those incels on Reddit forums who decides to actually do something, and when he does, he's just like, what next? You know, he's actually like, when the more he does of it, the more pumped up he gets on that adrenaline, and then it just keeps carrying him forward. But when he starts doing it first, it feels like someone who's never done this before. Not that I know what murdering someone looks like. I've just seen a lot of David Fincher movies.
But yeah, no, it was
Chilling,
very chilling.
like actually scary.
That was actually, I don't know if I told you this, but one detail or Easter egg in relation to the last cinematic appearance of the Riddler, Jim Carrey's performance, which I do love. I love Jim Carrey's Riddler so much, is the glasses. The glasses that are very much a part of this new Riddler's costume. They're identical to the glasses that Jim Carrey wears in the beginning of the Val Kilmer Batman movie. A lot of people started noticing that, and I'm like, oh, that's a very nice Easter egg.
Jim Carrey is great as Riddler. So lovely, so over the top.
But this one, his screen presence, or even his vocal presence, this Riddler did such an amazing job. Paul
Riddle
Dano.
me this, Batman. Why did she say she didn't want a relationship, but then 2 weeks later got together? Sorry, no. That's hilarious.
It's just
That was a joke, but oh my god. Paul Dano as Riddler? Basically, yeah, Reddit incel who decides to do something and change the world.
gosh, with a following.
Oh, without getting into
That
too
fourth
much.
act.
Without getting into too much, that the quote unquote fourth act really delivers on that, and it delivers well. But I also just want to bring up the scene where that happens right before this, when he meets him in Arkham?
Yeah,
Jail?
Arkham.
Oh,
Yeah.
Jesus. Okay, so he actually was the back and forth between Riddler unmasked and Batman. That, like, I just want to say that woke me up again. Because there's actually quite a chunky section of the movie where Riddler's just not part of the story.
Yeah.
For a 3-hour movie, you feel that he's gone because he's such a good presence when he is on screen. Like, he's actually like terrifying, but he's also extremely interesting, and
Like I said, his screen presence.
he's got that. So when he's gone, when he's not part of the story, even when he's not mentioned, and it goes somewhere else, you kind of just fall out of it a bit. I know I did, definitely. Like I said at the beginning of this, I kind of checked out at some points. But when he comes back with this scene, I don't want to bring it up, and just what the conversation between him and Batman, and the thing he says. You know what thing I'm talking about?
Which one is it?
He says the name of a certain wealthy Gotham individual.
Oh yeah, that moment.
Oh my god. And it's still, this scene was incredible because it's still towing the line of, is it going this way or is it going this way? Is it going this way or is it going this way? And then it goes in a completely other direction! I was like, what the hell? It's not fair. This movie can't do that. It was, and then because of that conversation, you want to go back and watch the entire movie all over again because it just changes your understanding of what the Batman's doing, what Riddler's doing, and what every other fucking person in this movie is doing. It's like, I hate that I can't really bring it up because of some people who haven't seen it.
I'm not paying
That's gonna
attention.
blow up as soon as you kill it. But I thought that just made the movie an even better experience, even for a second watch. And also, maybe it'll help me, be a little bit more invested in the other tangents that he follows.
I forget who mentioned this. I keep bringing up Brent, but he mentioned that
I mean, he's the only other person who's seen this movie.
the length of the movie and the pacing of the movie is such a jarring contrast to how the MCU and how just in general the superhero media has been done for the last couple of years.
Agreed.
And I think he mentioned that it's that fatigue of us being so used to the quick pacing and quick jokes of the MCU, and I think that's why we had that reaction, or how we have been reacting to the Batman, because it just feels so different. Because this is a movie that takes its time, and it's a superhero movie that takes its time.
Like, I'd like to think of myself as one of those people who enjoys the slow burns of movies, but I probably think that it is my exposure to these Marvel movies that has gotten me a little less interested in these movies. So I'm trying as hard as I can to just see a lot more movies that are creator-driven and allowed to do their thing with their own editing, with their own pushing, with their own practical effects, even.
Also, the fights, like the choreography is great. How I'd rank it is, Pattinson's fights are way better than Nolan's, because I have my issues with the Nolan fight choreography.
Like, Nolan wins on technicality.
Yeah.
Yeah. And obviously his story, his
Yeah.
overarching story. But then this is just... Continue.
You can feel the rawness and the brutality in this fight. Like, it's not as bombastic as a Batfleck. I will always... To me, Batfleck's fight scenes would always be the best. Like, especially that warehouse fight scene in BVS. Best Batman fight scene
Indulgent,
ever.
I swear.
Just,
Indulgent.
But yeah, no, Pattinson's fight scenes were very nice,
Oh,
very
yeah.
brutal, very hard hitting. There were moments, and also very good, like, back and forths. Like, he wasn't dominating the fights in some sequences. There was some
yeah,
bits where
like,
there was
some people got
there was
hit, some hits in.
There was some close calls, especially in the final, in the fourth act.
Yes.
In the fourth
Oh.
act, there were some brutal moments. Also, very smart moments, very smart decisions Batman makes in that final sequence that I loved.
Yep, no, this is basically a man who's being incredibly brutal but smart and is incredibly attentive to detail, which is Batman. And I love it. And I think Pattinson did such a good job, and Reeves did an incredible job of this. And I honestly want to go back and watch this and just screen grab my favorite shots, because this movie is beautiful. And I can't wait to see if there's going to be another one.
Oh, I'd like to see more. I did have my reservations of, like, when Patterson was first cast, but then seeing his more recent films, and I was like, okay, yeah, no, I have faith. He'll do a good job.
Bitch. I mean,
And he did.
I was so excited when Pattinson was announced that he's gonna be Batman, and because I've seen a lot of. I've been following up on his career and watching his movies. Good time. I watched what's the one in space? I forget that one, but he's really good in that one. And I think that's the one that the meme comes from. I think I'm better than you. I am better than you. Yeah. Something about life. Yeah. But I was really excited when he got cast in this, and I am glad that I was not let down in the slightest.
Oh yeah, no. Also, his suit is amazing, and I think the last thing I wanted to say in comparison to Batfleck, Ben Affleck's Batman, was I like how this is probably the most openly and outwardly, like, angry and broody Batman we've seen in a while. Like, compared to the Nolanverse and compared to Tim Burton, like, he's very angry. Like, I think I said this to someone where Batfleck was the angry old man, and then Pattinson is the angry young man.
Yeah.
And I really do I like that.
And the other one, Nolan's Batman, is what would you say?
He's like I don't know. He has he's the
perfect balance.
I feel like he's a bit too hung up on Rachel.
Oh my god,
That's my one criticism.
Oh god, okay.
This Pattinson believes in the mission. He's so committed to the mission. That's what I like
But
about
he did get a
this
little
Batman.
distracted by Catwoman.
Yeah, because there was a lot of people saying that this Batman was a virgin. Because
I'm pretty
a
sure
lot of people have been joking that he's never been laid, and he was like, "Oh, girl, oh," like, you know.
Yeah, no, I swear. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised.
But in terms of how committed he was to the mission, I think this is the most committed we've ever seen him. Because Batfleck was very jaded. Like, he's been doing this for years, and he straight up starts.
He's the broken Batman.
He straight up using guns. Starts using guns. But yeah, no, it was great, and Pattinson, I like this direction. I want to see more.
Amazing direction.
Matt Reeves, I had no doubt it was going to be a beautiful movie.
No doubt, honestly. Like, all of the promotional stuff, all of the posters.
That
you can
trailer,
tell.
that first trailer, woo!
Oh, I'm trying to remember it. I think, it was just... All I just remember was some of the promotional imagery he put out. Like that one image where it's just Riddler, and he's out of focus, and he's just putting a question mark to the lower. Oh my god, like, I probably just save that image somewhere, and I just look at it, and I think, Jesus, this is beautiful. This is what a movie poster this is what a movie poster should be, and I was so thankful for that. You can tell that this project was purely, like, pushed by him. Like, you can tell that with the recent slate of Disney films, DC films, you can tell that the studio is letting their directors take the reins.
Yeah.
You see Aquaman, you see Shazam, you see what is another one? The Suicide Squad.
yeah, James Gunn, yeah,
They're
yeah.
just letting the creators and they are making bank from it.
It's as if when you put faith in the directors, you'll get a good product.
Yeah, Marvel. It's really like,
hell.
oh my god, and this is the proof of it. And I just hope we get more of this. Not from obviously DC's going to continue this trend, but I
Yeah.
just want Marvel to take a look at it. And I think they've been
Yeah.
doing that. Let's say like the newer movies, like okay, we can not count Black Widow in that, but No Way Home, I guess, in an extension, but more specifically, Shang-Chi was a really good example. Yeah, of just like Marvel not really touching too much. But I think with an example like Eternals, they probably did have a bit of interference, according to Zhao, I think. Yeah. Which is why it felt like a pacing mess.
Ugh.
But I still liked everyone in it.
I think on that note, this is again. I'll say this. I'll always say this when it comes to giving directors more freedom in terms of like comic book movies, especially now that there's such a big media engine as they are in this day and age.
And they reckon a lot of money, too.
We wouldn't have this if it wasn't for the Snyder Cut. If we didn't finally have the director's vision and people finally seeing that, oh wow, it's actually a good movie when you actually let the director show what he wants to show.
I mean, a lot of the population of the Earth will kind of disagree with you in terms of it being a good movie. I've seen them. I really did enjoy the Snyder Cut, but like, still people like that are out there who will defend the other point of view to their last tweet. Yeah,
I understand.
No,
that,
but I get where you're
yeah.
coming from. That was the like what that was the beginning of this, or it could have been all the way going back to Man of Steel, or did you hear from like I don't know from Snyder or anyone around the Man of Steel project that DC had their
I'd say as far back as BVS because the director's cut is such a much better movie than the theatrical cut.
Absolutely, I loved it. I loved the director's cut of BVS. It was great. Like the fact that it's okay. We're going on a tangent here, but I just want to say the fact that it lets Superman do actual journalism work. That was nice. Okay, can we just have that? But coming back to this. Yes, let directors have their own creative vision on their projects, and you'll get stuff like this, which has grossed so much money.
It's doing very well.
Like very, 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 very well. And I guess that brings that discussion to a close. If you have nothing else to throw in.
I guess not. Just very much looking forward to more Battinson.
Yeah, absolutely. Same here. And then now, we can finally call our friend Graham back to the table.
Oh, yes.
As we venture into the final final movie to discuss for today. We just saw The Atom Project from Sean Levy, starring Ryan Reynolds and
Introducing.
Jennifer Garner. No, not
the boy.
Sorry, I don't know who the boy is. I forgot his name, but we'll get to that point. It stars Hulk and 13 going on 30 ladies. Sorry, I forgot it. Sorry, so it's Mark Ruffalo and Jennifer Garner as I'm sorry, I just love them in 13 going on 30.
Yeah, no,
So-
same.
Sorry.
I remember I watched the trailer for Atom Project and I was like, hey, wait a minute.
Hey, they're back together. They don't really interact too much in the movie though. But anyway, let's talk about it. Graham, come back.
I believe The Atom Project is now the second movie on my list of Father's Day movies to be put on there, with along with Click with Adam Sandler. Yeah. So it's a very heartwarming. I'd say it's the most heartwarming time travel movie I've ever seen.
I agree with this. It is. Are there any heartwarming time travel movies out there?
I mean, Back to the Future is pretty heartwarming, but
It's nice. Obviously,
but it doesn't hit the same emotional levels as The Atom Project. I'd say.
No, yeah. This is the top of the list right now when I think about emotional time travel movies. I'm trying to think of more. I don't know. There's a Time Traveler's Wife.
Yeah, but
Now that you bring this up, I want to think of all the emotional time travel.
Doctor Who
movies.
gets.
Oh my
Doctor
God.
Who gets pretty emotional.
No. I mean Doctor Who. Meet the Robinsons.
Oh,
Sorry, that
Yes.
still
that's
takes
another
Yes.
father-son time travel. What's up with
Yes.
time travel movies and father-son relationships? John Connor.
Oh my God.
Did we just uncover something?
Let's think of all this now. Let's think of it. Oh, what else? What else?
Tony and Spidey, their relation, like it's a father-son relationship, and that's why he travels back in time to save him.
That's a
in
bit of a
Infinity War.
stretch. It's a bit of a stretch.
Project Almanac?
Not really heartwarming. That's like
Yeah,
the
not so
dangers of
much.
time travel.
Yeah, that's just like...
And it was stupid teenagers. That's what it
Warning.
is.
Was that the one where they travel in time and?
Well, they use an Xbox to make a time machine.
Oh,
What the
yeah.
fuck?
That's another one where my smart dad did something. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
yeah,
use
yeah.
it to
My
have.
dad did a thing.
Wow, not to have fun, but my dad invented time travel.
Oh wait,
So fuck
sort
around,
of
go
you
to
can talk
Coachella
about
twice.
Happy Death Day, the second one, if you've seen it,
I've
because it shreds that and it's really fun. Yeah, but instead it's like
a
mother daughter,
Uh-uh.
and I thought it was great. I really loved it so much. I love both of them, and I want to go back and watch them. But we are going on a tangent, unless you guys can think of it like another one really quickly. Okay, yes, Adam
But yes.
Project. Who wants to open up the discussion and say their first piece?
First impressions, Graham, go.
I just loved it because Ryan Reynolds was in it. No, like, who was telling me about it? Our friend Seve, when he was talking about it, I was like, oh, okay, that sounds familiar. I mean, like, listening to the plot, and when I was like, okay, smart dad invented something, and then you used it to do the thing. And then I thought of Project Almanac. But then I thought, well, Ryan Reynolds is in it, so it must be fun. And then I saw all the memes about, the articles about young Ryan Reynolds.
Oh, yeah.
And how this kid that was chosen to play young Ryan Reynolds was the perfect choice.
Oh,
So I was like, okay, I have to. So, did the simple thing, went on to Net Nigel, looked it up, and it was there. And I got it, and I watched it. And
it was nice.
the opening scene,
Oh, with the kid.
just with the bully.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, but I tell
Yeah.
you, did you talk too much? Yeah, it started when I.
What was that? Kyle, Chuck, the dude that he keeps referring to.
Hey,
Shut up,
We
Chuck.
talked about
We
this.
talked about this, Chuck. What? Shut up, Chuck. Oh, it's so good.
What is that? Did you get a bullying 101 starter kit or something?
Why are you like this? Did you get a bullying 101 starter kit or something? Jeez.
Who talks like that?
Oh my God. He was
was
excellent.
great.
He was the perfect casting, and he was probably my favorite part of this movie. Honestly, like he was so good to watch. He was so fun, and he basically played the perfect young Ryan Reynolds. And I just want to bring up that Ryan Reynolds. Okay, one, obviously he's hilarious in this, but two, this might be the most emotional movie I've seen him in, where he has to deliver that performance of being emotional. Yeah, and he delivers. Like he does a really good balance. Like he's not full on. He's not full on Deadpool in this. He's not full on imbecile in Free Guy. He's just like, he's obviously on a mission. And the way he was talking to his mother or his wife, or when he was making difficult decisions, you can tell that he's actually, putting in the emotional investment into this role. And I love that. I really, really did. And I thought that was a great turn for him. Like he's hilarious, and I love when he does his thing. But it's also good to know that he has some range. Yeah. And I thought that really sold it well. And then, I don't know what else to say about this movie, apart from that it's not the best movie in the world. This is my overview. It's not the greatest movie in the world, but it's so much fun, and I think that's all it needs to be. Like, obviously, the science falls apart every 5 minutes when you want to try to explain it, and that ending wasn't, I mean, the third act wasn't that, like, I checked out about halfway through when they do another jump to, when. Yeah. But I wasn't, after the first introduction, like, when older Adam meets younger Adam, amazing. I loved all of that. That was
The
hilarious.
setup
That was fun.
so nice, too.
It was
yeah.
the relationship with his mother and how they talk about that, and how, like, he's talking to his younger self and he's saying, your decisions are still gonna fuck us up for the rest of my life, and so you better fucking change your life, Like, oh my God. Like, I've had conversations like that in my head so many times where I would mentally throw back and, like, just stop making these decisions, And then to see that on this, it was really both funny, heartfelt, and really, really, I don't know, well done. No, basically throughout this entire movie, it's just like my emotions. Oh my God, my emotions. Or it's like science doesn't check out. Or it's like some of the action sequences, they're great. I mean, I think there's a little bit too much CGI in this for my liking. Like, for some of the obvious CGI stuff, it's great. But for, like, some of the de-aging didn't really look that great. Some of the, like, you can tell that the area around the house, that was all just CGI in that final act, in the final scene where they're playing catch. It's just, the lighting was really beautiful and off. I just want to say that. But it's just a really fun time adventure movie that I wish Zoe Saldana was in a little bit more. And I think
Everybody loves Zoe Saldana. I'm tired of seeing her die in movies.
it's okay. I had 4 years to prepare for this moment. Ah! Just shoots at the guy and places
Opens
a
up a chest of guns, gets one gun.
Ah! I had 4 years to prepare. I'm gonna be fine. I'm sorry.
4 years to prepare, and there was only one mine in the road. Anyway,
But no, I wish there was more Zoe's Saldana. The world.
When
we
she
need more
shows up,
movies, yeah.
Hell yes, that was an amazing fight.
That
scene.
chase sequence was great.
Into the very Return of the Jedi esque. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, the behind the house, that entire fight scene was great. When Ryan Reynolds first pulls out his lightsaber, oh, so good. It's a lightsaber. Can we all just say it?
It gets called out for being a lightsaber.
Is that a
in
lightsaber?
the
It's
movie.
not a lightsaber. Dude, that's a lightsaber. It's not a lightsaber. Plus, I'm confused at how it works, because sometimes it burns through things, sometimes he's holding the glowy bits.
I can't remember.
I had to double back and check.
Oh, gosh.
He does that when he's fighting. Like, he holds one end, or
no, because it's not just the blade, right? It's a staff as well. Like he can
It's like double-ended as well.
double-ended, yeah.
So it's basically like Maul's lightsaber.
Yeah,
Except you can touch the red bits. He did. I can confirm that he touched like the sides, and he hits the ground and it makes him jump. It's like a magic wand.
Okay, basically, so it taps into your mind and does what you want it to do.
We all want to believe that sacred weapon exists somewhere,
Yes.
but it doesn't. It's just lazy writing. I'm sorry.
It's like, oh, okay. If it doesn't exactly burn through things,
will hit them.
then it hits them. But then how does that explain you just poofing people out of existence
That was
the
the-
moment you touch them?
Oh no, but that was something that he explained. It's when people die out of their fixed time.
Yeah. No, I understand that when you die outside of your fixed time, your death is very messy. But the places in which he was hitting them, unless he killed them with those one strikes that he was doing,
Oh yeah, that's right.
then
Like,
it
some of their arm.
yeah. If it burned through them, then he shouldn't be able to touch those ends. But if he wasn't burning through them and he was giving critical strikes the entire time.
All right.
Sorry.
I know where you're hitting.
Like headshots.
Okay,
or-
wait.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
know where you guys are heading, but I also saw someone say online that it's just a really fun action movie that if you think about too much, it starts to fall apart. So
That's horrible for me.
don't think about it too much. Just focus on the bits that it does well, which are the emotional bits where it's all about family, right?
Oh god, yeah.
That to me were the best things about this
Yeah.
movie. Like the science fiction and the time travel, that's obviously all just set dressing, and it's the thing in a story that allows for your main message to happen.
Yeah.
It's the catalyst. And that's all that was in this movie. And I think they focus so much. They gave like 90% to that main thing where it's like, oh, it's important to, make sure that your younger self knows that, I don't know, they're loved and don't have depression or some shit. But like all the catalysts that they use and the things that they try to do to get to that point, it was just like, they probably gave like, 4% like
Yeah.
shot, like, or 2.5, 2.5 here, 2.5 there, and 4 lots of 2.5 equals 10, which is what's missing from the 90%, right? And 90 plus 10 equals 100. Don't know why I'm explaining percentages to you guys, but you get what I'm trying to say is that don't think about this movie too much.
Yeah, you can
It's
tell
just
that
really fun.
you can tell that the priority wasn't the science, and it wasn't the narrative. Like I wouldn't want like the reasons for why this is all happening. I mean, in a way, yes, but you can tell that it was all about like family and the emotions
And they did that amazingly. I think it was a very accurate description of just how your perspective changes over time.
oh yeah,
Like especially with the younger Adam feeling a certain way about one parent and a certain way about the other, and then older Adam remembering things differently.
Oh yeah, no, it really did such a good job with that, man.
It's like as you're growing up and things start to happen to you, and you get like you go through all of these experiences, and then you start to resent certain things for not happening or certain people for not being there, and then that changes your view.
The final, like when they're in the house, and the dad is talking to older Adam. Ah!
And even just younger Adam sitting at the picnic table with him, and like telling him.
Oh my
memory.
god, I have screenshots of that I plan to put up somewhere. Like, jeez, when did you get so wise? When did you get so dumb?
yeah.
I traded my brain for all those muscles. I swear, this kid. Like, there's so much, like, they put so much into that, like, message, and they also put so much into the casting and how much chemistry all of these people have with each other. Because their chemistry is going through the damn roof. Like, how this kid talks to Jennifer Garner's character.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. That's perfect. It's amazing. How he talks with Ryan Reynolds, how Ryan Reynolds talks with Jennifer Garner, how they talk to the father, and how they talk with Zoe Saldana. It's just so
Oh,
good.
that scene in the bar. Ryan Reynolds and Jennifer Garner. Oh,
Jesus
man.
Christ. That's another example of when, like, when the seriousness of this script calls for Reynolds delivers, and it's great. Sorry, and we cut you off. Continue.
No. I mean, it's just like you'll see this movie and you'll think, yes, if I was speaking to my younger self, I think that is how that person would respond to me and how I would respond to them. They would be looking at me thinking, this isn't how the fuck I thought I would turn out. I didn't think I would be this jaded or whatever, however you are. Right now. I'm
Joke's on
not
you.
speaking about myself. But yeah, and then you'd look back and think that younger you was so naive and not knowing anything and the way that you acted, or if you were a shitty kid. Just that interaction between them and just watching that play out, it made me get all up in my feels.
No, honestly,
my
yeah.
emotions.
I completely understand that, and I think that got to a lot of people because it's basically it's doing the thing where like a film says the things that people don't really know how to say about themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And it's it goes back to why people do art and why people make films in the first place. It's to express those things that can't be really put into words. They put into experiences that can be absorbed in this medium, and it's great. Any final thoughts about the Adam Project? Anyone? Because I feel really tired all of a sudden.
We did bring up the messed up CGI for de-aging, but I will argue that the slightly younger Ryan Reynolds that they did for that, when they're showing how he meets Zoe Saldana's character, that was done very well. That was a very good looking CG Ryan Reynolds.
Because it was subtle and you don't
Yeah,
notice
yeah.
it. Yeah.
And it's just, I don't really have much to say other than it's a great movie. It's very like I didn't expect to cry as much as I did.
Yeah.
I'll be honest.
Same,
I was getting caught up in, wow, this kid's great. Oh, why are my eyes leaking? Fuck
Oh,
fuck
no.
you, Ryan Reynolds.
Damn it.
It was just and also I loved 13 Going on 30, so it was a good reference. Like good to see Ruffalo and Ghana as a couple, or at least as parents to this child, and it was nice.
So beautiful, so good. Oh, just one more thing to bring up. Sorry, I just really hated the villains. They was useless in this. They didn't make any sense at all.
Generic time villains.
I mean, what is a time travel movie that does have good villains? Oh,
Biff.
Terminator.
Sorry.
Terminator. Skynet.
Yeah.
I love this. Sorry, yeah, that's still at the top for me.
I was gonna say Biff, but okay. Yeah.
Biff, like, is more comedic than anything, but I like how he does get a lot of variations to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really cool. This one, it's just sort of, I'm coming back to meet my younger self, and we're gonna team up and kill you. Shoots like bullet and it goes and kills.
That was kind of fun. That was kind of hilarious. I was like, oh no, Macro, hang on. Oh, like that was my immediate reaction.
And you never understood the
Science. I'm so used to seeing Mark as like scientist Mark.
Oh yeah.
I was like, yeah, no.
Sorry, slight spoiler for the movie.
It almost felt like seeing him as Bruce Banner,
Sorry.
like just explain sciencey stuff. So I was like, I'm used to it. A lot of people, there's a punch that he gives Ryan Reynolds, and a lot of people have been like not making
He
fun.
literally jumps.
Yeah, he jumps because he's so short. Like he's so much shorter than Ryan Reynolds.
No, but he got him good.
Yeah,
Jeez, yeah, absolutely.
I think I broke my hand. It was.
Hold on. When they first meet him, their dad, right?
Yeah.
And all the students leave and want him. He doesn't look at the kid version first.
No, he
He
sees
looks-
adult. Yeah.
Adult version and says Adam.
And then kid comes running through.
How old are you now? Is that?
Like I like.
I'm 12 now. I also like how the father figures out why Adam is fucked up.
Oh yeah.
Like it's not outright stated, but he himself figures out. Oh, this is what happened to my son.
I mean, part of me also like I enjoyed that, but part of me also didn't want the key to time travel being their father.
Yeah, I was
Seems a little
probably
cliched,
okay
but
with
then
it.
again, the entire movie's cliched. So
But it's a nice cliche. I'd argue.
The biggest giveaway, I think, for the dad knowing what would have happened to make him like that, is just looking at younger Adam and seeing the watch on his. Because you're 12 now.
Even
and
older Adam. Older Adam had the watch as well.
Older Adam had the watch, but then their dad would assume that he would have already probably passed
yeah.
on.
saw the kid.
But he saw the kid, who is only 4 years away
Yeah,
from
yeah,
his
yeah.
current time, wearing the watch, so he knows.
But yeah, final thoughts, or did we just say our final thoughts?
Those were the final thoughts. I
Yeah.
think. Yeah, it's a pretty good movie. Just don't think about it too much.
Yeah, honestly, like you could probably watch this with the family, if you have a family. That seemed really. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. Thank you all for joining us for today. I've been watching a couple other movies that I have written things down for, but we can talk about that later
Sure.
in another episode.
Yep.
And next, we'll probably have a guest on. Shit, I've already said it. Signed it. Now it's my fault.
Blame yourself.
Yep. All right, but that brings us to the end of the show. Thanks for listening, everybody, and thanks for joining us, Graham, today.
Oh, no worries. Yeah, thanks for having me. It's always good.
Not Culture is hosted and recorded by Daniel Levi and Godfrey Captiga. It is edited by myself, and our music is created by the Clueless Panda. We've got new episodes out every fortnight because that's when we... Oh, no, I'd have to change that. But we've got new episodes out whenever they get out. Hope you enjoyed this one, and we'll see you all next time. Bye.
Oh, bye.
Oh, bye, guys.